if you look out 5 years, will the economy be better off or worse off for having left the EU? Assuming that all happens.
I do not know. I simply do not know. My criticism of the campaign was not because I knew or believed strongly that the effects would necessarily be different from those that people were talking about, but the absurd degree of certainty with which people were making claims and their wholly spurious quantification. This idea of £4,300 worse off. I mean, frankly, that was disgraceful. And it brings economics into disrepute when people use numbers in that sort of way. And the claim that there would be an emergency budget was also absurd. And the idea that you would have an emergency budget as you were going into a recession, which was the set of circumstances in which it was argued the budget would be introduced, was completely extraordinary. And of course, it was dropped the day after the vote. So those, and there were also on the other side, the Leave side, there were also absurd claims about how much money there would be available to put into the health service.
Okay, but do you think we will go into a recession, or you?
I don't know.
You're not forecasting.
So there's no doubt you'd expect some slowdown because of the sheer uncertainty, which would affect investment, and I think that would affect inward direct investment particularly, because whatever the truth of the matter about the long-term trade relationships, and I honestly think we don't know, but whatever the truth of the position we get to eventually, companies in, say, Japan will not know that now, and so it would be rational for them to put on hold decisions about inward investment into the UK, and that will indeed have a temporary effect. Now, what's important, therefore, is fairly quickly to put in place a strategy for how we're going to carry out the trade negotiations. And I think what's the unfortunate position we found ourselves in was that the Leave side, because it didn't represent a particular single coherent viewpoint, did not set out the strategy that if they were to be successful, they would say, well, these are the principles upon which we'll base our approach. It was left instead to the government. The government, is then in disarray, and we haven't got any political leadership. I see real merit in this juncture of trying to put together at least some cross-party group of leaders who might be able, people who are out of politics now, and actually bring them back temporarily to lead a group that would give a new Prime Minister at least 2 or 3 clear options of directions to go. Because we will need to set that out, I think, clearly and fairly speedily once a new Prime Minister is in place.
Would that be the sort of thing you'd be willing to get involved in, helping to do this?
There are a lot of civil servants who
You were saying before that you don't like meetings so much.
No, I don't like meetings. I think there's a very good set of civil servants who can do this given leadership. But you've got people like Gisela Stewart, you've got people like Ed Balls. Both of these people would be excellent to bring in to some cross-party group. You've got Vince Cable, and there are people like Andrew Tyree and others. I mean, what we should use this expertise of people who, fortunately for them, are not involved in the current leadership campaign.